The snow fell in heavy sheets, blanketing the quiet street in a hush that felt both peaceful and cruel. Mara pushed her cart through the slush, the wheels creaking under the weight of her belongings, tattered blankets, a cracked thermos, a small radio that hadn't worked in months. Her coat, too thin for the biting Colorado winter, clung to her frame as she shivered. At 42, she'd learned to live with the cold, the hunger, the ache of being invisible, but tonight the weight of it all felt heavier. It was Christmas Eve, and the world seemed to glow for everyone but her. Mara's eyes lingered on the warmly lit windows of the houses she passed. Families gathered around tables, laughter spilling out like a song she'd forgotten the words to. She'd had a home once, a husband, a daughter. But addiction had stolen it all, leaving her with nothing but regret and a stubborn will to keep going. She was sober now, 3 years clean, but the streets didn't care about redemption. They only knew how to take. She stopped at the edge of a cul-de-sac, her breath clouding in the air. Her usual spot, a bench by the park, was buried under snow. She'd have to find somewhere else to rest tonight. As she turned to move on, a faint sound cut through the wind, a sharp, desperate cry like an animal in pain. Mara froze, her heart thudding. The sound came again, louder, from the alley between two houses. She hesitated. She was tired, cold, and alone. Whatever it wasn't her problem. But the cry pierced her again, and something deep inside stirred. She couldn't walk away. Pushing her cart against the alley wall, Mara shuffled toward the sound, her boots slipping on the icy pavement. The alley was dark, lit only by the faint glow of a street lamp. At first, she saw nothing but shadows and snow. Then, huddled against a dumpster, she spotted him. A boy, no older than 10, curled into a ball. His jacket was torn, his sneakers soaked through, and his face was streaked with dirt and tears. He clutched a small, shivering puppy to his chest, its whimpers echoing his own. Mara knelt beside him, her knees aching against the frozen ground. "Hey," she said softly, her voice rough from disuse. "You okay?" The boy flinched, his eyes wide with fear. "Don't tell anyone I'm here," he whispered, clutching the puppy tighter. "Please." Mara's chest tightened. She knew that look. Fear mixed with defiance, the kind that came from running out of people to trust. "I won't," she promised. "What's your name?" He hesitated, then mumbled, "Caleb." The puppy yipped, and he stroked its matted fur. "This is Scout. I found him. He was all alone." Mara nodded, her gaze softening. "Looks like you're keeping him warm, but you're both freezing out here. What happened?" Caleb's lip trembled, but he didn't answer. Mara didn't push. She'd learned long ago that some stories took time. Instead, she pulled a blanket from her cart and draped it over his shoulders. "Stay here," she said. "I'll be right back." She trudged to a nearby gas station, using her last few dollars to buy a hot chocolate and a sandwich. When she returned, Caleb was still there, watching her warily. She handed him the food and he tore into it, sharing bits with Scout. As he ate, he began to talk, his words spilling out like a dam breaking. He'd run away from a foster home, he said, where the rules were strict and the warmth was scarce. He'd found Scout abandoned in a box, and they'd been together ever since. "I can't go back," he said, his voice fierce. "They'll take him away." Mara listened, her heart aching. She knew what it was to feel like you didn't belong anywhere. She wanted to promise him safety, a home, a future. But she had nothing to offer. No house, no money, no miracles. Still, she couldn't leave him here. Not tonight. "Come with me," she said finally. "I know a place we can stay warm for a bit." Caleb hesitated, then nodded, clutching Scout, as they followed her. Mara led him to a small church a few blocks away, one she'd visited before. The pastor, a kind-eyed man named Tom, never locked the side door on cold nights, leaving blankets and a heater for those with nowhere else to go. Inside, the air was warm, and the pews were empty. Mara helped Caleb settle on a blanket, Scout, curling up beside him. For the first time, the boy's shoulders relaxed. As Caleb dozed off, Mara sat nearby, watching the snow fall outside a stained glass window. She felt a strange mix of peace and pain. She'd helped him, but what now? She was no hero, just a woman with a cart and a past she couldn't outrun. Yet something about Caleb's trust, his small hand clutching hers as he slept, made her feel seen for the first time in years. The next morning, Christmas Day, the church door creaked open. Pastor Tom stepped in, his eyes widening at the sight of Mara and Caleb. Mara braced herself, expecting questions or judgment. Instead, Tom smiled. "You found each other," he said softly. Mara frowned, confused. "He was in trouble. I couldn't leave him." Tom nodded, his gaze warm. "I've seen you out there, Mara. You've been helping people for years, sharing your blankets, your food, even when you had nothing. You didn't know it, but this church has been watching. We've been hoping to find a way to help you back." Mara's throat tightened. She'd never thought anyone noticed her, let alone cared. Tom continued, "There's a room upstairs, small but warm. It's yours if you want it. And Caleb, we'll make sure he and that pup are safe. There's a family in the congregation who've been looking to foster. They love dogs." Mara stared at him, disbelief washing over her. It was too much, too sudden. She wanted to argue, to say she didn't deserve it. But Caleb stirred, blinking up at her with a sleepy smile. And she felt something shift inside, a spark of hope she hadn't dared to feel in years. Over the next few months, the church became a home. Mara moved into the upstairs room. Simple, but hers. She started helping Tom with outreach programs, sharing her story with others who felt lost. Caleb and Scout were placed with a foster family nearby, but they visited Mara often, filling her room with laughter and muddy paw prints. One evening, as they sat together stringing popcorn for the church's Christmas tree, Caleb hugged her tightly. "You're my family now," he said, and Mara's eyes brimmed with tears. That night, as snow fell outside, Mara stood by her window, watching the street below. It looked different now, not cruel, but full of possibility. She wasn't invisible anymore. Neither was Caleb. They'd found each other in the dark, two lost souls who'd chosen to care when they had every reason not to, and in that choice they'd found a light that no winter could extinguish. Voiceover. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can light up the darkest night. When we choose to see each other, even through our own pain, we create a warmth that changes everything.